Peter Thomas Fornatal, happy to be back with you for the Breeders' Cup, here to talk about Win and You're In action at York on Wednesday. It's the Group 1 Juddmonte International Stakes, a Win and You're In race for the Breeders' Cup Classic. And to talk about it with me in this short video, joined once again by one of our international experts on the team here at In the Money Media. You can find some of his work over at inthemoneypodcast.com. He is Alex Sausville. Alex, how are things?
Things are going well, Pete. We're here in one of the side offices at Colonial Downs, getting ready to look at a pretty good Ebor festival that's coming up over at York.
No doubt. And we're going to be doing several videos about it. It kicks off, as mentioned, with the Juddmonte International. We've got Group 1 competition taking place at 10:35 Wednesday morning. This is a race you're going to want to watch. We've got 10 furlongs on what will probably be good, if not good to firm ground. Some very familiar names. Let's go through the field 1 through 7, and then we'll give our conclusion at the end, starting off with Juan Elcano. I was curious to get your thoughts on this runner. Are we looking at a serious contender here?
So Juan Elcano, he's a big price, but it is interesting. The last start came over this course and distance. It was a really competitive race. It was defeated by Bangkok in what was really a 3-horse photo. Mohafeth, who's also in this field, was in that race. It was a really good race. Bangkok ran a career best race to win it. It's good. He'll be an outside chance, but he's a talented horse that definitely likes the track.
You do like the fact when you see that progress since the gelding operation, since the wind operation. I feel like probably had a really good setup last time and may find it tricky, but at a price, not one I'd be arguing with somebody that wanted to use. That brings us to the name that's probably the most familiar to North American punters who don't follow the international scene all that much. And this is a Win and You're In race for the Classic. This is a horse who sounds like he may well be showing up in that spot in Mishrif. How good is Mishrif? How has he been doing since our North American viewers maybe were last paying attention to him?
Well, we saw what he did in Dubai. We saw what he did in Saudi. And in my personal opinion, he was very much disrespected on the board in the King George last time out. He was about 8 or 9 to 1 for a horse that's done so much this year. He was defeated by Adayar, but he ran an absolute cracking race. I mean, most people are starting to think that this will be his Group 1 in the UK. And I don't disagree with him, but this is a talented field.
Yes, we are looking at the most likely winner. Will he be our pick in the race? We'll come back to that thought a little bit later in the show. Should get a good trip this time around. Maybe was a little bit unlucky against the flow last time. Certainly a serious contender. And that'll bring us to a horse that earlier in the year was talked about like potentially the star of the season in Love. What do you think of Love's chances in the Juddmonte?
Well, first off, I've heard just a few things. Just because Love was put in after St. Mark's Basilica scratched out, which is a major scratch in this field, does not, at least in my opinion, make any difference to whether they think Love could win this race. St. Mark's Basilica is the flagship horse for Coolmore right now. They won it 6 times. Coolmore as an owner, Aidan O'Brien as a trainer. Yeah, Love had a disappointing run last time out, but was competitive, has been really good. I don't see why she can't win this race. I don't know. A lot of people are down on her. She's still as talented a filly as there is out there.
My question for you about Love, very specifically vis-a-vis Mishrif, is do you see any specific reason why the form might get reversed?
I don't know. It seems like Mishrif, since getting back from those trips, maybe it took a little bit out of him to come back, and it hasn't been the same. But despite the fact that you're running for major purses over in the Middle East, the races in the UK have been a lot more competitive. And I think that's part of why Mishrif has been doing what he's doing. Love, I mean, it was a step up. She's dominated the fillies. She's been outstanding. And it's only been really, one race that she finished 3rd. And I think it was just she was so hyped up as the talent that she was, that she had 1 loss to 2 very good horses. And now people have started to fall off the bandwagon a little bit.
Let's talk about Alan Kerr, double figures in the prices right now. And I don't want to tip my hand for our concluding segment we'll get to in a couple of minutes, but certainly has some appeal as one with a nice profile. What do you think of this one?
It was a good race in France. The Grand Prix de Paris it was dominated by Godolphin's Hurricane Lane. I'm not a huge fan of the horse in this spot just because the ground won't come up soft, most likely, based on what we're looking at for the weather, and that's kind of what Alan Kerr wants. But is talented, ran a good race last time out, had a good couple efforts before that. But for this spot, I think it'll be a little too tough.
Max Sweeney is next in the order. A likable horse. Seems like one that's going to like 10 furlongs and the cutback. What do you think?
Yeah, they jumped this horse up to the 1.5 miles, and I understand why completely based on the pedigree and the talent. I mean, at the time when Poetic Flare started to make his run, Max Sweeney started to take a back seat, and then Max Sweeney put together a massive effort in Ireland. I mean, that was a huge effort for Jim Bolger again. I mean, it was really impressive. I don't particularly like Max Sweeney in the spot, but has definitely improved from that. Hasn't had a couple great efforts, but there's little doubt that their confidence in this horse is not wavered.
I could tell you a story, but it does seem like another for whom the ground might not be exactly what they're looking for, which leads us right to Mahafeth, the horse who's come up a couple of times already during our chat. What do you expect we're going to see?
So Mahafeth is an interesting, really, case study in this fact that they wanted to jump this horse up to Group 1 company multiple times, one of which was the Derby. They wanted to send him to Epsom, and the ground came up pretty heavy, and they scratched. Decided to take the easier spot on the Hampton Court at Royal Ascot, won it. I think a lot of people expected, as did I, that Mahafeth would have an easier time of things in the last race. Was defeated, as we mentioned earlier, when we were talking about Juan Elcano in that race. But I think they've been waiting to get to this level and either see what they have or they really know what they have. I think Mahafeth is the best value in this field.
Interesting. We'll talk more about that in a minute. I'd like more in a fuller field or with a pacemaker. I just wonder if the flow of the race could go against, though it certainly was notable. I did get messages from both Stephen Bonnick, who writes for us over on InTheMoneyPodcast.com, and also from Rob Dove, one of the top 10 pro punters in the UK today, about how fast this one came home the last time, covering the last 3 furlongs in 35 flat racehorse time, to be sure. Definitely an interesting runner. The field is rounded out by Alcohol Free. What do you think of this runner?
This filly, I mean, she gets the weight allowance, and her race last time out in the Sussex was outstanding. The form around every race that she's been in since she's jumped up into Group 1 company has been fantastic, with Poetic Flare, Snow Lantern, all Group 1 winners this season. I think she's a very live chance. And yeah, it's a step up against some pretty good horses, some older horses at that. But I mean, keep an eye on what the price is with her, and I think the value will be there, and she's just still improving.
Okay, Peter Thomas Fornatal here for the Breeders' Cup and In the Money Media with Alex Sausville, and we're here now to give our conclusion on this year's Juddmonte International, a win and you're in race for the Breeders' Cup Classic. We have a longer video going through all the contenders over at the In the Money Podcast YouTube channel if you want to check that out. Alex, who do you like in this spot?
So I've been playing with it back and forth. I know a lot of people think this is Mishriff's race to win, everything. I'm going to the outside. I'm going to Alcohol Free. I really think she's just improved and improved and improved. We saw what Poetic Flare did. We're in an outstanding race just behind Palace Pier, who is and continues to prove to be the best miler in the country and probably in the world. I think she continues to just jump up, and I think she can beat these horses.
I like the idea, 6-1 in the betting or so, and you might be getting some value as far as that goes. I'm going to reach for a price too, while I also acknowledge that Mishriff is your most likely winner and a horse I'm very much looking forward to seeing come over and contest the Breeders' Cup, whichever race it is. I'm kind of rooting for the Classic because I think that would be really interesting. Maybe some will depend on what he does here. But I think Alenker is a really interesting horse who will appreciate the ground, and I think with a prominent ride could get the right kind of trip to be heard from here at what should be a very pleasing price. We're both going against the favorites of the Juddmonte International. We'll see how that goes, and we'll also see all of you back here via the In the Money Media YouTube channel and Breeders' Cup social media. We got a lot more win and you're in action this week at York. I'm looking forward to it. For Alex Sausville, I'm Peter Thomas Fornatal for the Breeders' Cup.